Welcome. This is the Men Church Stuff Podcast. This is the show where brothers-in-law DJ Culp and Brad Coleman talk about stuff from our perspective as men. It's a show for anyone who wants to hear how Christians interact with the world. And don't worry, we're real. We've grown up in church, and we want to share our experiences with you. We'll talk life stuff, church stuff, man stuff, and stuff. Here we go. Greetings, listeners here and there and everywhere, all across the land. This is the Men Church Stuff Podcast. I am one of your hosts, DJ Culp, as always here with my beloved brother-in-law, Brad Coleman. Brad, what's up, man?
It's cold.
Dude, it's so awesome, isn't it?
It's not.
No, it is. It is.
How cold is it there where you are?
I think on my way into work today, I think it was 13 degrees.
16? 16?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so taking Carrie Beth to school because she had a big project board she had to take, so didn't have her ride the bus. The truck said it was 1.
That's awesome. So cool. I want to say that's so cool, but I mean, it actually is. Yeah, I love that kind of weather.
No, well, you can have it. See, I lived in Northwest Ohio for 7 years.
Yeah.
I feel like calling my friends and being like, "Hey, your weather came down. It's in my front yard. You need to come pick it up."
Yeah, you want it back?
Yeah, because it ain't good here. Take it home.
Yeah.
But
I do.
I like it cold. I don't like it that cold.
I do like it this cold, but I need to give the caveat. I mean, and I was talking to my students this morning about it. I like this weather. It's uncomfortable, but I mean, it gives me opportunity to bundle up. And I love, man, I'm serious, way more than the dead summer heat.
I'll take this over 100 degrees.
Oh, any day. But I love the freshness and the crispness of the air. It's just so clean, and
yeah, because everything
so
is
refreshing.
dead.
Yeah, yeah,
Everything that was flying in the air before,
it's just gone.
It froze to death.
I will say this, except for the flu. Like the flu and other illnesses and sicknesses, those aren't dead and those are flying around.
No, you know what's incredible to me, and this is completely off topic of what we're talking about, but you know what's incredible to me is that so many of those diseases and things cannot exist outside of a host for very long.
Yeah, it's true.
Like 24 to 48 hours. Like 48 hours is a long time for a virus or something like that to last on a surface outside of a host.
Right.
But yet we can't get rid of them.
Yeah, yeah. If they've got a host, then I mean, as we mentioned on last week's podcast, dude, that flu, it found me and it was like, we're setting up camp. It's party time, Yeah. we're hiring all sorts of workers. We've got all these promotional offers. Come one, come all. That's and it stuck around. No, you're right. I don't think I've really ever thought about that. But yeah, I mean, if it doesn't have a host, it dies pretty quick. And the best way that I've ever heard, I think maybe I've said this on the show before, but the best way I've ever heard a description of children is that they are petri dishes.
Yes.
just for growing bacteria,
I remember in college studying, again, I was studying education and especially like elementary education.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at that, and they were talking about how when a child sneezes versus when an adult sneezes, and I mean, it's just saying just if they're both the same, they don't cover and all that.
Yeah.
But the child's has so many like more germs because they don't have the antibodies built
Yep,
up that
that's
the
right.
healthy adult does.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, and I don't remember, but it's something like 10,000 to like a million or something.
Goodness. Wouldn't you be the guy that like wouldn't you hate to be the guy that had to count all that?
Yeah.
You know, like looking like your whole career is staring through a microscope going, all right, I don't think I counted that one. That's 178,732.
Hey, Jim, your
You
lunch
know
is 6.99.
yeah.
6.99.
6 9.
No,
Dude, no, I
no.
can't do it. What are you doing to me?
I would hate to have been that guy when like technology came out and took his job. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, you know what? I was the guy that did all of that, and now nobody cares.
Nobody cares. They stopped caring before I was able to publish this.
Yeah, they got it.
Why? Why am
They
I
got a
doing
machine.
this?
They got a machine that did it in 3 seconds.
Um, hey, Brad, before we dive into our topic, I think there's a little business that we need to take care of, don't you?
I think it's coffee time.
I think it's coffee time. Coffee time. I'll cue the music. All right, listeners, if you're regulars of the show, you will know we've got a collaboration with the Green Frog Coffee Company here in Jackson, Tennessee. The North Store general manager is Shelby. Shelby, shout out. Wonderful gal. Loves helping us out, and we love helping them out. So if on Monday, January 27, if you want to drop by the Green Frog Coffee Store, the North Store on Union University Drive, you'll get $2 off if you use the code word church. Code word church.
Church.
Yeah. Yep. Church. Because we talk about church, and we do talk about other stuff. My favorite to this day, still Brad. My favorite code word is Brad. But yeah, but today the code word is church. You get $2 off your order, whatever it is that you want, all the live long day. And Greek Frog Coffee has great stuff. I have forgotten to mention this that right now actually they still have bags of a of like it's not really a cappuccino, but it is a coffee drink mix. It's one of their favorite or their big sellers called Dirty Snowman, and Shara loves. I guess I should say Shara loves the Dirty Snowman. You know? she loves the mix. It's a little too sweet for me, but it's got some hint of toffee in it with some white chocolate. It's a really, really good thing. But yeah, you can buy that mix to take home with you. So again, $2 off using code word church at the North Store of Green Frog Coffee Company, where they are built on Christian values and they have coffee that is so good. Brad, how good is it?
A dirty snowman would drink it.
A dirty snowman would drink it. Not any regular snowman, a dirty one. Oh, and P.S. Brad, their house blend of like you listeners, if you go to Green Frog Coffee, you can buy I think they're 2-pound bags of their house roasted coffee beans. Dude, their house blend is awesome. Dude, it's so good. It's one of the best. It's actually one of the best roasts. It's a darker roast. So listeners, if you guys are dark coffee fans, it's a great one to buy. Dude, it's wonderful. But there we go. So Brad, let's dive into our topic. We are talking about a quote today from one of the former presidents of Lifeway, Mr. or I guess technically Dr. Thom Rainer. I've actually met him, real cool guy. His son, Sam Rainer, shout out to Sam. Sam Rainer was the pastor for a short time at our church in Murray, First Baptist Church of Murray. But I like I do Facebook follow with Tom. He's a pretty prolific author and has a lot of writings on the church, the health of the church,
Mhm.
how like the church's interaction with congregations. I've not read a lot of his stuff, but I know like it seems to be that's kind of his thing.
Yeah. I like some of his smaller books, like So You Want to Be a Welcoming Church, or
Mm,
Autopsy of a Dead Church.
yeah, yeah,
Very, very insightful, and I love them because they're not huge. They're short,
right.
very, very to the point kind of things. I think he cuts out a lot of just fluff that you would have in a lot of books. And so like it's something that you can give people even that aren't big readers.
Sure. Yeah,
Um,
I've never read any of his books, but
mm,
I've like based on some of the few things that I've read, and certainly a lot of
mm,
quotes that I've read from him, he seems really poignant, and like kind of I'm gonna get nerdy here, but like his thesis statements that he'll post, that'll circulate on Facebook, like the one we're gonna read today. It's like they're real. They're I'm trying to think of how to phrase it. They're very succinct, very easily accessible, but clearly you get a much bigger idea as to what he's driving at just through them. So the quote today that we want to discuss says this: when the preferences of the church members are greater than their passion for the gospel, the church is dying. When the
mm.
preferences of the church members are greater than their passion for the gospel, the church is dying. So here's where I think at least we can start, Brad. I want to know what your experience is like just as a pastor looking at the churches that you've been a part of. So whether it's a senior pastor, you're or being a youth minister, because like my experience with some of your answers more than likely are going to just simply be, you know, with my dad being a pastor, I've always heard dad say this, but my experience has certainly been like from the congregation. I just want to know what as a quote unquote employee of the church, how have you seen the truth of that?
Well, I would say some of it is the problem of looking at me as an employee of the church. I mean, in some sense I am, but
Okay.
I'm not. I don't work for the church. I serve the church. I
Okay.
work for like God is my employer, if you will, in
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Right. And the Bible is called us to get our livelihood as those who are called to the gospel,
Yeah.
through the gospel. Um, so I think some of those things, the way we define them and look at them, because if the people of the church look at me as an employee of the church
Yeah.
and they're members of the church, well, now it's like when I go to Walgreens, hey, you work for me. Like, and if you don't like,
Yeah.
you're filling my prescription. So on some level, you work for me. And if I don't like the prescription or the way that you're doing it, I'm gonna go take my business elsewhere. And
Right.
so we tend to frame, I think, the way that church dynamics from a business standpoint. Now,
Yeah.
some of those things do travel and or at least are worth looking at. But when we've got that model where, oh, the church is a business and the pastor is like the manager or the CEO
Yeah. Right.
and all of those things, I think you get in trouble. And I think that's where we get some of these problems with looking at our preferences versus not. Now, and arguably it's a human nature,
Yeah. Right.
sin nature thing. I don't know when we start calling ourselves members instead of disciples. In the Bible we're disciples, and
Yeah.
they met together.
That's a good
Uh,
word, dude, because like the word member definitely there's a connotation that almost makes it sound like, well, I have an investment,
mhm.
so
What do I
so
get?
yeah, what do I get? Yeah, right. Yeah. And as you and I'm sorry to use the word as an employee of the church. I was really framing it more from just the idea that you are paid directly
Mm.
from the
But
church,
and,
which I mean really comes from tithe,
mm.
or at least is I shouldn't say comes from tithe, but is uh, um,
No, I mean, well, I mean, it does. When people tithe to the church, it goes in, and that's part of what. takes care of me and my family.
Sure.
We don't get those tithes directly. They go into the
Yeah.
church,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then there's my pay. So your
Sure.
tithe isn't coming to me if you're
Yeah.
tithed into First Baptist Murphy
Right.
directly, but it is supporting the pay package. So, and again, it's not wrong necessarily to say I'm an employee of the church. I mean, the government would definitely agree with you in one sense, and
Right.
in the other, I'm an independent contractor of the church, so it's the government can't decide what I am.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think biblically, the way that I would understand it is I'm called to be a pastor. I'm called to preach the gospel. I'm called to serve,
Yeah.
and then it's the local church's responsibility to support my family and me so that I can continue to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
And when you look at that, it's like it's a calling from God, and it's the responsibility then of the local church to support their pastor, so that he can continue to be their pastor and do the things that God has called pastors to do.
Right.
And so when you look at it that way, I think though it's a shift of paradigm. I mean, I know to some people like, oh, it's just words, you're speaking semantics. But I think it just depends on how those words are hitting with us.
Hmm.
Because again, I've had those situations. And so I say all that to go with, I think sometimes that's the issue where people get so caught up in their preferences because we live in a world of, you know, commercialism. We live in a world of go find that thing. And hey, if you don't like Walgreens, go to CVS. And if you don't like CVS, go to Walmart. And you have all of these choices and find what you like. And, we have an iPhone and an iPad and,
Right.
iTunes and all of these things are I.
Yeah. Well, and
Well,
and and again, for me, what I'm hearing you say, relating back to, the what you had, the delineation of employee of the church and the member of the church. Like, I just hear you saying ROI, right? What just on every product that we could possibly think of,
mhm.
what's the return on my investment? Um, yeah.
Well, right. Yeah, and and I like what, again, Jeff Woolam, my senior pastor in Ohio, what he said. Um, Church membership is not about special privilege, it's about special responsibility.
Hmm.
And so like I think that is so big. It's like we got that mindset is like God has put us in the local church as individuals, as part of the body to serve the body
Yeah.
and then outwardly, you know. So we're building one another up in Christ and then we're sharing the gospel outwardly. We're and so we're sharing the gospel. God does the work, and then that's how the body grows.
Right.
We as the body are obedient to God to do what He's called us to do, but
Yeah.
He's the one, one sows, one waters, but God gives the increase.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now we all have our preferences.
Hmm.
We all like what we like. And
Might
and
I add? Might I add? As just a quick interjection, in like when I think about this topic, I also include pastors in that.
yeah, no, no, absolutely. Because I have to be mindful because I'm still part of fallen humanity.
Yeah.
I'm redeemed through Christ, but I have a flesh that is still struggles in its sin,
Yeah.
right? That is not that it's not going to inherit the eternal life. This flesh is going to die and go back to the dust. I get a new body. So right, there is that struggle with everything from pride to what I want and all those things. So when God calls us to die to ourself, which is one of the biggest things that He calls us to do. And it's also one of the hardest things. And,
Yes, it is.
somebody said it this way. See, God calls us to be a living sacrifice. And the problem with the living sacrifice is it keeps crawling off the altar.
Yeah. I don't want to get burned. Stop it. Yeah, that's true, man.
You know,
That's
so
a really good point. Yeah.
there's not. So let's go with one that I think is just so generic that just about every church has probably dealt with it at some point or another, and that's the music.
I really thought you were going to say the color of the carpet.
No,
I really
no.
thought you were going to go there.
I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of no, no, the music, because I think
Yeah.
music's big. I think the way that because music is a great gift from God.
Mm. I
And
agree, Brad.
you do, but you probably also agree that everybody doesn't like the same music.
Yes, I completely, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why there is this beautiful array of so many different styles and kinds of music. And some of them I don't like, but I appreciate at least most of them that they're there, even if
Mhm.
I don't like them.
Yeah.
So there's definitely ones that I like more than others. So everybody that comes in the church is going to have their preference on music. And when we make the music about what I want,
Yeah.
then we're going to have struggle.
Yep.
Because the more people we get in the church, the more opinions we have
Correct.
on the music. And I like the old, I like the new, I want blended. I want blended my way. What does blended even mean? What does old mean? What does new mean?
Yep.
I
Yeah.
think every generation of the church, especially when you come to start to see, like, that structure of the church and the structure of music has struggled with that every time the generations change, right? Because we tend to
Yes.
change that, so and sometimes we just, man, they just outright just call it ungodly for a while. Did you know that when Amazing Grace, that's a classic hymn. That's the one that we want to hear. And I love Amazing Grace. Do you know when it first came out, like there was a lot of churches that wouldn't play it?
Yep.
I mean, you probably do know this.
I do know that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was set to a bar tune
Uh-huh.
and it was accused of being too worldly.
So Martin Luther, like one of the very first, um, I almost said psalters, but one of the very first, really hymns, that he wrote, chorales that he wrote, "Mighty Fortresses Are God." That is a bar tune. And what he did was he removed the words that they were singing, wrote his own.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean that kind of cycle has happened for hundreds and hundreds of years.
And it's going to probably shamefully, on some level, continue to happen. Yeah.
I,
Well, maybe it's not shamefully. It's an opportunity.
it's an opportunity.
It's
Yeah,
a it's
I
an
think it's
opportunity.
debatable.
You know what I love? This is what I love. I love when there's someone who likes the old hymns. They love the old hymns. That's what they'd rather have us singing.
Hmm.
But they will uh, sing along and praise along with a newer worship song that
Yeah,
isn't the style they want.
right.
Because I think it's an opportunity for us to realize that it's not about what music that we're playing, that music itself is not the worship. Our heart turned to God is the worship.
Well, and I mean, Paul even alludes to that, not with worship, but what is it? The is it? It's not the love chapter. I'm trying to remember which chapter it is where he mentions that, like, if I speak in angelic tongues, if I do all sorts of different things and I don't have love, then it's all vain.
No, that is love chapter. That's
It
13.
is it is a love chapter. Okay,
First Corinthians 13.
13.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I
But
become as a sounding brass or like a
clanging gong.
clanging cymbal,
Oh,
yeah,
clang cymbal. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
cymbal.
yeah. But the idea though is and I'm gonna say something that is probably going to be extremely controversial to a lot to specifically to this line of topic. But I would even argue that, Brad, if that's true, then you could be singing a Christian song having words that are coming out about Christ and you're not
Mhm.
worshiping. Because I
Absolutely.
think I think the basic underlying premise is, well, if it's sacred, right? If it's for the church, then it's worship music. Wrong. No, it's not. Music is music. That's it.
Mhm.
And now, does music have like a transcendent type
Mhm.
of characteristic to it? I would argue yes, but it's still based upon the person's heart, regardless of what's coming out of their mouth.
Right. Well, we don't want to mistake the way that the music we like makes us feel with a spiritualness. I don't know how better, like, so here's the example. Let me
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
give you
yeah. I'm,
this.
I'm with you. Yeah.
There was a I saw this post from a girl who had grown up in church, and she's like, and I, in the music and in church where they, it was worship style music. And she was like, I really just thought it was the spirit that was, pumping me up. And then I went to a secular concert and I felt the same thing. Now,
And
I know there's probably some
perhaps,
people that may be listening who are like, yeah, see, that's why we need to go back to the old hymns.
yeah, right,
No,
right.
no, because the old hymns is that's the way those hymns make you feel.
That's exactly right.
And
Yes.
if you go to a similar
Correct.
secular concert where those words, so like my thing is the hymn, is the song, is the thing that we're using for worship, are the words that we are saying, are they truthful and are they glorifying to God?
Right.
And I know some people that they don't like some of the, and they call it newer, but really for us it's older. The thing where they just, oh hey, it's a song where there's just 11 times we're going to repeat, you know,
Yeah. I
holy,
had a,
holy, holy are you, Lord God Almighty, which
yeah.
always makes me laugh because I'm like, you've read Revelation, right?
Yeah, 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 because that's actually what they do.
Like, yeah,
That's all they say
the
over and over.
four these four beings who just, yeah, all day long say,
That's it.
"Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who
Yeah.
was and is to come." They just repeat it.
Yep. Yeah.
So, yeah. So the worship though, it's about the heart.
Yeah.
So when we mistake it for "I like this," then we've missed what worship is.
Right.
Because worship is not us liking the music we're singing. Worship is about us turning our heart toward God and worshiping Him and
Right.
looking at Him. And I think music is a great way to help us get into that flow. I mean, music is calming. Music is exciting. Music, is a powerful thing. God has given, which is incredible to me, right? That God has given us this beautiful gift that you
Hmm.
can put all of these sounds together that alone are like just ding ding,
Yeah.
but once you put them together in this order, like they become this majestic thing. And isn't that a picture of, again, the church?
Yeah. That's
It's the
exactly
body of
right.
Christ.
Yeah.
Like it's like, again, and I'm musical enough just to get myself in trouble, DJ. So it's like might be musically blasphemous in the thing I
Yeah.
say, but I
Yeah.
mean,
You
like,
better be careful. You watch your step here, Brad.
you know, but if a high note says to a low note, you're no good. I don't like you. Like
Yeah.
I just like the other notes that are up here. I mean, like we lose this range of beauty
Yeah.
if we get rid of half the notes.
You are correct. Yeah.
I was just trying to speak enough general, so because
Just general, right?
I
Yeah.
I was just, I know that there's some, it's like, oh, B sharp is also the same as this. So I was like,
B sharp does technically exist, and
mm,
nobody likes it. I'm just gonna
it
let you know
was
because
like,
we all know
I
it is
just
C. Yeah.
see, right, there you go. I knew it was something like that. So I was like, if I just throw out some random like letters, DJ's gonna be like, well, those are actually
What
the
are you talking
same.
about, Brandon?
Those are actually the same thing. But it's like if the B sharp said to the C,
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
they're actually the same thing.
They're the same thing. Um,
So yeah.
yeah, yeah. If there is, so based on, everything that you said, the thing that I would like to chase, um, and this is something that I've spent a lot of years thinking about.
Mm,
So, as a Baptist, we, my life experience with the church, has been in the world of autonomy. With Dad being a Methodist pastor now, and I can't remember what the word is, but they've basically got a hierarchy set in place to where, well, they're not actually, excuse me, he's not Methodist pastor anymore since they disaffiliated. But prior to the disaffiliation,
I said for a long time, and if any of the people in this church are listening, I hope I don't offend anybody. I've said for a long time, when your dad started being a Methodist, pastoring at a Methodist church,
Uh-huh.
I was like, he's not a Methodist pastor. He's the same guy he was before. He's pastoring the same way. I said, they're just a Baptist church. They just don't know it yet.
They don't know it yet.
And I say
Well,
that in jest because, again, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the name over the
that's
door is.
exactly right. That is exactly
It,
right.
it,
Yeah,
it remembers it matters what name all men must be saved,
right.
by that
But
name.
but if there's anything,
Jesus. It's Jesus.
it's Jesus. Yeah, yeah. Listeners, if you were unaware, it's Jesus.
Jesus Christos in Greek.
Um, but like to me, the weakness I see, so again, just kind of reading this quote, when the preferences of the church members are greater than their passion for the gospel, the church is dying. The weakness that I see of autonomy in the Baptist church is to where we will, in fact, as you were saying, Brad, we will replace our preferences with gospel. Because we're part of a church and because I'm a Christian, or at least claiming to be so, then what I want and how I want things to be done and how I see things as they need to be, that like they're replacing their preference and as you were mentioning, level of comfortability with the message of Jesus.
So,
And again, I like the thing I don't like about autonomy is it's almost as if, well, because this is the system that we're operating under, I'm owed this. You haven't been at this church as long as I have, Brad. I know that you're the pastor, but I mean, buddy, you're walking into something where, again, what's my ROI? What's my return on investment?
mhm,
I have been through this church thick and thin. I
mhm.
want to shake your hand. Dude, thank you so much. But you don't own this at all.
So, so what you're saying in a nutshell is that we either trade our preferences for the gospel or we trade the gospel for our
Yeah,
preferences.
it's exactly right. I suppose the only caveat, Brad, is if you're completely and utterly apathetic and you just don't care.
Yeah. Or
Which,
maybe if your preference
if your preference is what,
is the gospel, then you don't have to trade
then you
anything.
don't have to. Yeah, right. If your preference is the gospel, then you win. Yeah, right.
Yeah. I think here's the thing with the quote, and I like the quote, but read the quote again.
When the preferences of the church members are greater than their passion for the gospel, the church is dying.
Hmm. So, like, the only thing I would change was when anything
Yeah, right.
becomes the focus other than the gospel,
The church is
the
dying.
church is dying.
Yeah,
I mean, in
it's
this
true.
case, we're focusing on preferences, so
Yeah,
that's what. But yes, but anything that gets in the way, and I think what we have to realize as the church, and what we have to own as humanity, and our brokenness, is that we are going to have to refocus that a lot. And
yeah,
as long as we're willing to keep doing that,
right.
that's good, and we're going to grow. It's when we start to stop doing that,
Yeah,
right? I'm going to do things today that are not going to be um, the best, right? I'm going to make some mistakes today.
yep,
I'm going to make some choices that I'm even myself later on. We go, oh, I probably should have went left when I went right.
right.
And some of them, maybe in the big scheme, don't matter. But what matters is not like if I take a wrong turn when I'm driving Carrie Beth to school. What matters is that I turn around and get back on the right track.
Yeah,
And if I take three wrong turns on the way to school, but I still keep correcting them, she's going to get to school.
yeah, right.
Now, depending on how many, she may be a little late, but she's still going to get there.
Yeah, right.
But if I decide, you know what, I made my decision, um, I turned right when I should have turned left, but I'm just going to keep going. It's going to take a whole long time for me to circumnavigate the globe and get her back to the other side of the school.
Yeah. Right.
So the reality is my truck don't do real well on oceans, so I ain't going to get there.
Right.
Right. So we've got to refocus on Christ. And I think again that's part of this picture. I think sometimes we get the wrong idea that we're supposed to get there and then we're there. Yeah, that's heaven.
Right.
We ain't there yet.
Right.
I think I get that.
Well,
And
well,
and
and
here
and
here's
I
here's
think
the
I think that where that really begins to happen. I mean,
mm,
so if and I'm thinking really conceptually, but I'm also thinking about from my own experience, working with a live timeline,
mhm.
just the passing of time, when the preferences of the church members are greater than their passion for the gospel, if if it's as you were mentioning, if it's just this level of comfortability or complacency, even better, just becoming sort of this stagnant. I'm not going anywhere spiritually. I mean, we are still reacting to our own humanity, as you've been mentioning. We're still reacting to our own humanity day in and day out, whether we're sacrificing ourselves to Christ day in and day out or not. And so, what happens is, I think that as we become complacent, whether we realize it or not, it's our complacency that is now taking the place of the gospel, and we're acting upon preferences from our place of complacency. If that makes any sense, I know it may sound like a circular reasoning, but um, again,
But yeah.
when that happens, it's like, oh, so there's something brand new that you want to do. All of a sudden, it's infringing not upon my preferences as I would possibly really see them. It's infringing upon my preferences of, look, dude, I haven't been doing jack crap, and I kind of don't want to do anything because I'm really happy where I'm at. Now
You
we've got a problem.
I have a little bit of a theory. And so when a person gets gets saved or they connect with God and they're in a church and it just everything feels like it's connecting right, and I like the people, I like the music, I like the pastor,
Yeah.
uh, you know uh, all of these things, which are good things,
Hmm.
but most of to have all of those things be consistently unchanging is really not going to happen.
It's not. No, you're exactly right.
Right? And so I think there's a lot of people that get there or they grew up in church and they loved it and that was the all of the stuff around. I think so many of us are trying to create that. We're trying to get that back. That if we're not careful, and maybe I'm being a little too generous, if we're not careful, it really becomes idolatry because we're not trying to serve God.
That's right.
We're trying to serve ourselves, even though we may not even realize that.
Yeah.
No. I like this style of preaching, and I like this. One of the things, because sometimes I will have guest preachers,
Hmm.
right? Now I vet the people that I put in the pulpit, or I do my best to make sure that like that's important to me. Um, but I will have sometimes people say, "Well, I didn't like the way they preach." It's like,
Yeah.
okay. My question is usually, something along the lines of, did they were they true to God's word?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
not.
care if he got up there and it was super boring to you. I
Right.
mean, I'm gonna talk to him about that. But if he got up there and or if I get up there and it's super boring to you, but the gospel and the message is biblically sound, it is that, then I think you got to consider your preferences as what they are, preferences.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I
there's
don't want.
preachers that I prefer to listen to over others.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. The statement, I didn't like the way he preached, is a completely different statement than I didn't like what he had to say.
Hmm.
I mean,
But the
if we're talking
but
about
the message,
delivery,
yeah, but the message generally is I don't want to like if they're going to preach again,
yeah.
they just let me know I won't be there. You know,
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I kind of mindset. You know, uh, we we need to come to church because we love God and we love one another.
Yeah.
We need to come to church to serve. We need to come to church to worship together.
Right.
We're worshiping God, not our preferences. We're we're learning, we're being built up to go out and be his church
Right.
the rest of the week. It, I have to guard because I will tell you too, DJ, I will sometimes get so frustrated with people.
Hmm.
Let me go back to being a youth pastor, right?
Yeah.
We were at youth camp one year, and I'm telling you, like I felt like everybody's heart that was in our group was not where it needed to be. And I was so frustrated. There was at one point that I had to walk out of the room in our small group and let Tabby just handle it because I was about to just lose it.
Hmm.
And I'm sitting there in this, listening to this other pastor at the camp preach a little bit later, and God brought to mind um, the desert of wandering
Like
and
the
Moses
40 years. Yeah.
40
Okay.
years, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, in Kadesh Barnea. Um, Moses does not get to go into the promised land.
Right.
He gets to look at it.
Hmm.
Now, if I interpret this right, and please, people, go back and read it yourself because I'm not looking at it. It's been a little while. But part of what God is kind of getting across to Moses after he strikes the rock is like the thing that you are mad at the people for is the thing that you're also guilty of in a different way, but you know,
Hmm.
because they didn't trust me. They're not trusting me. And you weren't trusting me.
Hmm.
So you're guilty of that. And God was convicting me here because I'm just so mad at everybody else's heart not being in the right place that it was causing my heart to not be in the right place.
Right.
But but I was in my own mind, until God called me out, justified.
Yeah. So like I mean, dude, all right, so we can go there since you're the one who brought it up. Um, and it's our show, right? The preferences of the church become, whether they're vocalized or not, they become um bullet points
Mhm.
of proving to ourselves our own self-righteousness, right? This is right. This is the way that this is not the way that we do things for the sake of doing things, even though that actually is the case. Again, like you were saying, it may not have previously been so in another generation or even a decade ago or less, right? But the fact that I don't want to give this up, it's 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 not supposed to happen. It's this is right. I am right, right?
Mhm.
And again, to me, that's self-righteousness.
Mhm.
What as you were talking, it made me think, and I've done this so much, but I know it happens. I know it happens day in and day out in the church body, where basically, if you will, to be smug about it, well, you should be living your life like me,
Mhm.
but you don't.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
yeah,
like when you were saying,
yeah.
that
You know,
everyone's heart was wrong,
yeah.
to me that sounded like an argument, whether you were willing to admit it, it sounds like an argument for self-righteousness. your heart should be like mine because mine's
Yeah,
right, you know?
and you know who that reflects biblically? The Pharisees.
Yeah, it does. Live like us. Trust us.
And what did Jesus say? Unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, not in the kingdom of heaven. Yeah. So we gotta have his righteousness. Now his righteousness again is through him. We receive it as that free gift.
Yeah.
But when we've received it, well, we should be righteous because he's righteous and because he's
Right.
made us righteous. But yeah, but we've got to check ourselves. I think God warns us in the Bible because he knows we're going to go here and in different ways and in different places. Hey, when you think you've got it all figured out, when you think, you've reached that place, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah.
That's a paraphrase, y'all. But
Yeah.
he says, let a man who thinks he stands be aware lest he falls.
Yeah.
There's a way that seems right to a man, but the end thereof is destruction. There's a way that seems right to a man, but the end thereof is death. Lean not on your own understanding, but in all ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. The wisdom of man is foolishness to God,
Yeah. Now,
or the wisdom of God is foolishness to man. Yeah.
and
Anyway,
Brad, from my experience, I'm going to say right now, our church is experiencing something that I've only ever heard secondhand information of. And I'm gonna be honest, man. And I love being a part of it. It's incredible what God is doing in our church. And I'm not just saying that. Like there are things that are happening again that throughout my lifetime I have only heard testimony of. And I'm gonna say something out loud because it's true. There's a part of me that when I really take a survey of everything that God is doing, there's a part of me that's worried.
Mm-hmm.
Because when is this whole preference conversation? When is our humanity going to say, all right, okay, that's enough. We've had enough. We just need to slow down. We need to tap the brakes a little bit. I'm getting a little uncomfortable. It's moving too fast. We want comfort.
I like comfort.
I know. And here's the thing, dude. It does, like, if that's the conversation, let's have that conversation. But it doesn't come out as that conversation, at least not in my experience. In my experience, it comes out as we need to get rid of people. Or, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
This has gone too far. I'm beginning to lose control. I'm beginning to feel too uncomfortable. Is it the Spirit? Is it the Holy Spirit that's convicting me? What point in time, not what point in time, what is the straw that will break the camel's back that will cause any one person to try to stop what God is doing? And the reason I said that is because I know it's not that I know it's true. That's what I feel. It's true that I'm experiencing that, and I hate that. I don't like that there's this part of me that's just going, yeah, but I wonder how long this is going to last. Like I have to catch myself, DJ, stop it. Stop it. Who cares how long it lasts? That's the part. Who cares? Because it's the gospel that matters. And
we like green pastures and still waters.
Yes, we do.
And God wants us to like green pastures and still waters,
dude,
because they're
yes.
a place of restoration.
That's right.
But then he says, get up and come on. Follow me. Yes. We're going to go walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
And Brad, I said this.
Why is it called that, Jesus?
Yeah, right.
That's
because
not a good
sucks.
Nickname.
That's right. Yeah. But here's the thing. I was telling our Sunday school class this here recently, Brad. I mentioned that in the last 6 months on our show, we've talked about Psalm 23 a lot. Like it's come up a lot.
I like it.
I do too. And there's something that you said that I have actually overlooked often. I was telling him this, and you and I were talking on the show. I don't remember which show it was, but you mentioned, what does God say in Psalm 23? I set a table before you
Yeah,
in front of your enemies.
yeah.
And so,
In their
like,
presence.
as what you just said, Jesus is saying, "Come on, let's go to the valley of the shadow of death." No, God, I don't want to go. Why is it that I have missed my whole life? Jesus is when I say I suppose it's correct that Jesus is inviting us to go through the valley of the
Mm,
shadow of death. Shoot, I
mm,
mean he's the one. He came for the sick. He came for the people that don't know him. He came for the people that are in the valley, right?
mhm.
And it is in the midst of that where God promises, and guess what? I'm still going. It's not again. I'm going to be here, but I'm going to set up this table for you. Don't worry, you're good. Yeah, it's going to suck. But again, kind of wrapping back around, I have that feeling,
Mm,
that sneaky feeling, and I have to tell myself to shut it off
mm.
because God is like seriously right now. I mean, I say right now. I'm sorry for saying it that way, but like our church is experiencing rejuvenation. Our
Yeah,
church is experiencing
yeah,
fresh air,
yeah.
and
And green pastures and still waters are awesome.
yeah,
And they're
and
supposed to be enjoyed.
again, what I'm trying to convince myself of right here in this moment is DJ, you you know in your heart who cares how long that lasts.
Mm.
It's not up to us. And again, it's not up to us.
Hey,
My
but
preferences would try to get me, right, to try to take control over it to keep that going. It's not up to me.
yeah, but think about it this way, right? There is a greater opportunity to worship in the valley of the shadow of death
Dude, you're not wrong.
than in green pastures, still waters.
Mm-hmm.
When
It
we
is.
worship, when things are good, it's still worship and
Yes,
God
it
receives
is.
it. But when we worship, when everything sucks, I think at some point that
Yeah.
I don't want to call it truer worship, but man, I mean, it just like
It's
I
desperate
remember
worship. It's
I
it's
was
a
talking. Yeah, it is. It's desperate worship.
it is desperate worship.
Desperate worship. Like I was Tabby and I were recounting just the other day some stuff, and she had. I was really broken a few years ago. I mean, I was really broken. I was discouraged. I was like, man, my spirit was so bruised. Like
Mm,
it just hurt.
yeah.
And I was in this worship service at this leadership conference, and they were singing these beautiful worship songs, which I like,
Mm,
lifting up to God. But being authentic is really important to me. And I was like, God, I told God in my spirit, I was like, I don't feel like worshiping you.
yeah.
Now, what you have to understand is part of that was I didn't feel like if I sit there and I raise my hands and I sing this with joy, that I would be being fake to God.
Mhm.
So I was like, I don't want to act like it. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like worshiping. And I feel like the Spirit of God said to me, worship me anyway.
Yes.
Worship me anyway.
Yes.
And it was permission for my mind and my heart. I needed that permission because it was like, you know what, God, I can do that. I
Yeah.
can sing these words to say how awesome you are, even though I feel like the opposite right now. Like I'm
Yeah.
not feeling that
That's right.
awesomeness. I'm not feeling
Yes.
that good. And so I started doing that. And you know what happened? Man, I mean, it's a good thing I didn't have a mic because I was weeping and singing, and probably the people in front of me were wishing I just stopped.
Yeah.
But I remember, our director of missions at the time Chad just patted me on the back. He said, "You needed that, didn't you?" I mean, I just ugly cried hearing this
Yeah,
worship.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
so great in there, God.
Yeah.
You're great in there, God. You're so great.
Yeah, man.
And begins that. So God will bring me back to that reminder
Yeah.
when I don't feel like preaching today. I don't know if people realize that, but I'm the pastor, and sometimes I wake up and I go, I don't feel like preaching today.
In the exact same way that there are mornings where I get up and be like,
Yeah,
I have no desire to go to work.
yeah.
I want to do whatever I want to do. Yeah.
And that usually goes with a conversation with God where I'm going, um, I'm gonna go do what you have put in my heart. So if you'll help me, and I will say that God shows up.
Mhm.
I didn't tell you how many times I've had a horrible morning, and then I've got up and started to preach, and God's like, "Hey, it wasn't about you anyway."
Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah. So what is
so
the so
yeah,
so really what's the wonderful fluffy message of the Gospels that is that we're sinners. Jesus came and died for us, lived a perfect life, died for us, and rose again to cheat death so that we can live eternal
Mhm.
life with him. That's the fluffy version. What's the smug version? It's never about you.
Yeah.
If at any point in time you think it was about you, you're wrong.
One of my favorite things that people who are struggling to receive Christ, struggling to come to Christ and surrender to Christ, one of my favorite things that they say. Now, it's hard to even get over this, even when I tell them the truth. But one of the favorite things that people say is, "I don't deserve it. I don't deserve to come to Christ and be forgiven." I'm like, I know,
Yeah.
me either.
Yeah, you're
Matter of fact, the
exactly.
Bible says none of us do.
None of us do. And while we were still sinners,
Like, I
Christ
got
died for
good
us.
news for you.
Right. Yep.
God doesn't like the fact that you understand that you don't deserve it is the first step toward receiving his forgiveness and love.
Yeah.
That's the first step. You
Yeah.
you you got half the battle, G.I. Joe. Now
Right.
you just turn.
Because
Just turn to Jesus.
if somebody says, I'm ready because I think I have earned it. I think I have
Yeah,
deserved it. No,
that's
dude,
right.
you need some
Oh
more
my
batting
gosh.
practice. Get
Yeah.
back in the cage. You got
Well,
to keep swinging.
gosh, you really let me in. Oh man. Oh, whew.
Oh, okay.
That's a difficult one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Brad, why don't we go ahead and close this one down, man? This was a fun conversation.
It was.
Listeners, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you so much for being the listeners that you guys are. We love you. You all are the reason that we do this. I mean, I say the reason that we do this. Just last week we dropped the episode where we said that the reason that we do this is for me and Brad to hang out, which is true.
Mhm.
But
There are
we
many
have
reasons.
yeah, there are many reasons, and you are one of them. But we love you guys. We love interaction with you guys. So please follow us on our Facebook group page if you don't. Men Church Stuff. Comment on our group page. Let us know what you guys have to say about each week's episodes. Trust me, it's totally fine. And if you want to keep everything private, you can message either me or Brad. But we also have an Instagram page. Follow us on that at Men Church Stuff. We even have an email that nobody's used, but we have one just in case. menchurchstuff@gmail.com. But we would love to get to know you. We want to know what your thoughts and opinions are. We want to know some of the topics that you might want us to talk about. Brad and I want to hear from you guys. We would love for that.
Here's your opportunity to share
here-
your preferences.
That's exactly right. Here's your opportunity to share your preferences.
We may
so-
not change,
Yeah, right. Yeah, because
but we'll
we have
listen to you.
preferences too, right? But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Remember, the code word for Green Frog Coffee Company this week is church. So beyond that, Brad, I love you, buddy.
Love you too.
Listeners, we love you, and we will catch you next time.
Bye bye now. That's all, folks.
That is all, folks.